Turning attention now to the other important aspect of this war, after an American submarine sank an Iranian warship in the Indian Ocean in an attack that has killed at least 87 people. Sri Lanka took control of a second Iranian naval vessel off its coast. Tehran has warned that the US will bitterly regret the torpedo attack on an Iranian naval ship in the Indian Ocean. Sri Lanka has stressed its neutrality, saying it won't take sides as it finds itself caught in the middle of the US-Israeli military campaign against Iran. And that tells you the fast evolving nature of this conflict. On day 7, as things escalate, what is it that could actually lead to a potential breakthrough? And what about countries like Sri Lanka that are actually neutral bystanders who get impacted because their economic zone is suddenly part of the war theatre? Asanga Abeyagoonasekera, who's a political analyst, will join us on the broadcast. But first up, listen in to this soundbite.
Because it was, the goal was not, their aim was not going to war. They went for an exercise, which was arranged by the Indian Navy. There are so many other guests who went there and they, took part in a parade. And, everything was a peaceful, training course or peaceful training process. So they didn't need, weapons. They actually went to that mission long before the war started.
All right, Mr. Abeyagoonasekera joins us on the broadcast. I think he's joining us from DC, where he's normally there. Thank you so much, sir, for speaking to us. Let me start by asking you, it almost seems like Sri Lanka is caught in the crossfire, quite literally, but also tells that there is no scope even for countries to remain as neutral bystanders in a conflict that's whose theatre is expanding as we speak.
Yes, absolutely correct. It's in the Indian Ocean now, as you know, the geography of Iran, so it's rightly facing the Indian Ocean. So the next theater, I would say, the significant theater, just like in the Second World War, we saw Pacific and the Atlantic. I see Indian Ocean as this most significant sort of this security theater. And we have felt it, India has felt it, Sri Lanka has felt it. We have rescued now, 2 operations have been carried out. So the Iris Bashir, which went to Trincomalee, and now 200 of them has been sort of transported. So we are following both the countries, India and Sri Lanka, the norms, values which we have committed to the international bodies. I think that's the way forward that we should be working together as India and Sri Lanka.
Which brings me to ask you, sir, that in a conflict like this, where suddenly it is not just about a particular region, you're talking about international waters. Where do you see smaller countries like Sri Lanka, and not just Sri Lanka, actually in this entire conflict? Because in international waters, it could be any nation.
Yes, I mean, the overspill can be to any nation. I mean, what has happened right now is unacceptable. I can agree with the former Indian Foreign Secretary Kanwal Sibal, who mentioned that the US have ignored India's sensitivity. Clearly, India can't, work on as the India's net security provider in the region in this capacity. India has signed Limoa, Komkasa. Sri Lanka has signed AXA SOFA defense agreements with the United States. But I think we should have been told before. It's also a violation of the UNCLOS, Law of the Sea, Article 58. The nation should be informed because it was in the Sri Lanka's exclusive economic zone. So I think it's a relook at India, a fresh India as well as Sri Lanka relook at US.
Absolutely, many laws have been broken, and in fact, Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister, was the first one to raise that concern. But since then, this conflict has passed all those important thresholds when it comes to how many international laws and rules have been broken. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks much, Mr. Abeyagoonasekera, for speaking to us.